Your teenager went to bed at 10 p.m., but at 2 in the morning, they were still scrolling. You didn't know. They didn't tell you. And honestly, they couldn't stop, even if they wanted to. Here's what's terrifying. This isn't about willpower. This isn't about laziness. And it's definitely not about being a bad kid. This is about a billion-dollar machine specifically designed by some of the smartest engineers on the planet to hijack your teenager's brain. And today, we're going to talk about exactly what it's doing to them, what the science actually says, and most importantly, what you, as a parent, can actually do about it. Stay with me, because this might be the most important video you watch this year.
Welcome back to Raise Them Right, the channel where we take the science of adolescence and turn it into real, practical tools for parents. If you're new here, no judgment, no lectures, just honest, research-backed advice that actually works. Now, let's get into it.
Let's start with where we actually are in 2026. 95% of American teenagers use social media, not occasionally, regularly. And more than 1 in 3 of them say they're on it almost constantly. Think about that, almost constantly. The average teen is now spending between 3 and 5 hours a day on social platforms. That's more time than they spend eating, exercising, and talking to their family combined. And here's the number that stopped me cold when I first saw it. Teenagers who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media have double the risk of experiencing anxiety and depression. Double. This isn't a fringe study from a random blog. This comes directly from the U.S. Surgeon General's advisory, the nation's top doctor, who called it an urgent public health crisis. Now, before you panic, I want to be very clear about something. Social media is not the devil, and banning your teenager's phone is probably not the answer. But understanding what's actually happening inside their brain, that is the answer. And that's exactly where we're going next.
Here's something most parents don't know. And honestly, most teens don't know either. The teenage brain is literally not finished yet. The prefrontal cortex, that's the part responsible for impulse control, decision-making, and emotional regulation, it doesn't fully develop until around age 25. So when your teenager picks up their phone and can't put it down, they're not being dramatic. They're not being difficult. Their brain genuinely has less ability to stop than yours does. Now add social media into that equation. Every like, every comment, every notification, each one triggers a small hit of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. The same chemical involved in gambling, the same one involved in certain addictions. Social media platforms know this, and they've built their entire product around it. Infinite scroll, no natural stopping point. Variable rewards. Sometimes a post blows up, sometimes it gets nothing. That unpredictability is precisely what makes it addictive. Notification systems designed to pull your teenager back in at 11 p.m., at midnight, at 2 p.m. One former Google design ethicist, a man named Tristan Harris, called this the race to the bottom of the brainstem, meaning the apps aren't competing for your teenager's attention, they're competing for the most primitive, automatic parts of their brain. And the teenage brain, it's the most vulnerable target they could have chosen. So what does this actually look like in real life? Let's get specific.
1. Social comparison. And it's not equal. Your teenager isn't comparing themselves to their actual friends. They're comparing themselves to the highlight reels of thousands of people. Perfectly filtered, perfectly lit, perfectly curated. The vacations, the bodies, the relationships, the popularity. None of it is real. But their brain processes it as real. And the result is a constant, quiet whisper. You're not enough. For girls especially, the research is brutal. Studies consistently show links between heavy Instagram use and body image issues, depression, and eating disorders.
Even Instagram's own internal research found that their platform made body image worse for 1 in 3 teenage girls. Their own research. 2. The anxiety of being always available. Psychologists have a term for this: ambient anxiety. It's the constant low-level stress of being permanently connected. Your teenager can never fully relax because what if someone texted? What if something happened? What if they're missing out? FOMO, fear of missing out, isn't just a funny acronym. For teenagers, it's a genuine psychological stressor, running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
3. Sleep destruction. The blue light from screens suppresses melatonin, the hormone that tells your brain it's time to sleep. So even if your teenager puts the phone down at midnight, their brain thinks it's still afternoon. Less sleep leads to worse emotional regulation. Worse emotional regulation leads to more conflict, more anxiety, more depression. It's a cycle, and social media starts it. 4. Passive scrolling versus active connection. Here's a nuance most people miss. Not all social media use is the same. Research shows that active use, texting a friend, commenting on something meaningful, connecting with a community you care about, can be neutral or even positive for teenagers. But passive use, just lying there, scrolling endlessly through other people's lives without interacting, that's what consistently links to depression, loneliness, and lower self-worth. And guess what most teenagers are doing? Passive scrolling. Okay, so now you know what's happening. Here's where most parents make a critical mistake. They find out about the research, they get worried, and they go to their teenager and say something like, "I read that social media is really bad for you. We need to set some limits." And the teenager rolls their eyes, shuts down, or starts hiding their phone use. Why? Because that approach activates the wrong thing. To a teenager, that conversation sounds like, "I don't trust you. I want to control you, and you have no say in this." Remember, one of the core psychological needs of every teenager is autonomy, the feeling of having some control over their own life. When you strip that away, even with the best intentions, you create resistance. Here's what actually works. Instead of "I'm setting limits on your phone," try this. "I've been reading about how these apps are actually designed to be addictive, even for adults. Can we figure out together what makes sense for our family?" Do you hear the difference? You're not the enemy. You're not the warden. You're a parent who is on their side against a product that is manipulating both of you. When you frame it that way, as you and your teenager against a shared external problem, the conversation changes completely. You're not taking something away from them. You're helping them take back something that's been stolen from them: their own attention, their own mood, their own sleep.
All right, here are 5 things, concrete, practical, research-backed, that you can start tonight. 1. The charging station rule. All phones charge outside the bedroom, every night, no exceptions, and that includes yours. This is the single highest impact change you can make. Better sleep, better mood, better mornings. Research backs this consistently. 2. The 20-minute wind down. No screens in the 20 minutes before bed. It's not about willpower. It's about giving the brain's melatonin system a chance to actually work. Replace it with anything: reading, music, a conversation. The replacement matters less than the removal. 3. Scroll together, without judging. Pick one evening a month and ask your teenager to show you what they watch. Not to police it, just to understand it. This does 2 things. It keeps you connected to their world, and it quietly teaches them media literacy, because they'll start explaining the content to you, and in doing so, they'll start thinking critically about it themselves.
4. Create offline anchors. Depression and anxiety thrive in isolation. Social media fills the gap, but never really fills it. Sports, a hobby, a part-time job, a volunteer role, an instrument, anything that gives your teenager a sense of identity and belonging that exists outside a screen. The research is clear. Teenagers with strong offline identities are significantly more resilient to social media's negative effects. 5. Talk about it. Not as a lecture, as a question. Ask them, do you ever feel worse after being on Instagram for a long time? Most teenagers, when asked that honestly, will say yes. And that small moment of awareness, coming from them, not from you, is more powerful than any rule you could ever set.
Social media isn't going away, and completely banning it isn't the answer. But raising a teenager who understands what it's doing to them, who has a strong enough sense of themselves not to be consumed by it, that is absolutely possible. And that is exactly what we're going to keep helping you do here. If this video gave you something useful, even one thing, please share it with another parent, because this is the kind of conversation every family needs to be having right now. And if you want to go deeper, I have 2 videos right here that you're going to want to watch next. One on how to actually talk to your teenager without shutting them down, and one on the teenage brain, why they act the way they do, and why it's not what you think. I'll see you in the next one.